so much in running, and it just really dawned on me. It's the man that my mom was underage when she consumed me. Anyone who'd have been older.
What if everything you thought you knew about the Carters was a lie? Behind the glamorous smiles, sold-out stadiums, and billion-dollar brand lies a secret so deeply buried, it took decades. And a son desperate for answers. To bring it into the light, Rymir Carter isn't a tabloid name. He didn't grow up in a mansion, didn't ride the coattails of fame, and certainly didn't ask for the chaos that followed. What he did ask for was the truth. The truth about a father he never knew. A father his mother swore was none other than Jay-Z himself. Now imagine being ignored for years, labeled a fraud, shut down by court after court, while the man you're told is your father remains silent, untouchable. Imagine watching him raise other children in the public eye while you fight just to be acknowledged as human. This isn't a story about money. Rymir has never asked for that. This is a story about identity, power, and a system that seems to work only for the already powerful. But it doesn't stop with him, because the moment you pull on this thread, everything starts to unravel. Alleged secret children, silenced witnesses, mysterious deaths, and the iron grip Beyoncé might be using to protect her legacy at all costs. And what's coming next could shake the entire Carter empire to its core.
Embarrassed at the end of the day, I can take that. I really can. I've been through a lot, seeing a lot. I can take me being embarrassed. Like, this can't take nobody not saying nothing.
Rymir Carter grew up like any other kid, except the man everyone said was his father didn't act like one. His mother, Wanda Satterthwaite, told him the truth early on. The man raising him wasn't his biological dad. The real father, she insisted time and time again, was Sean Carter. The world would come to know him as J-Z. At first, Rymir didn't know what to believe. He was just a boy trying to make sense of a fractured identity. And when you're young, you tend to believe the person who feeds you, clothes you, protects you. But Wanda's words never left him. She told him over and over again, Jay-Z is your father. Until those words became a storm he couldn't ignore. As he grew older, Rymir searched for signs. Resemblance, connection, anything. But Jay-Z, he never responded. Not once. Not when Rymir's mother begged for a paternity test. Not when the media picked up whispers of the story. Not even when Rymir filed a lawsuit seeking only the truth, not a dime of his fortune. Instead of answers, Rymir was met with silence. A silence so deafening it felt like erasure. In interview after interview, he made one thing clear. I'm not chasing money. I work every day. I take care of my own kids. I just want the truth. I just want to know who I am. And while Beyoncé and Jay-Z posed as the epitome of family unity in front of cameras, Rymir stood in courtrooms alone, fighting not just for acknowledgement, but for justice. The courts pushed back. Judges said it was too late. That there was already a man named on the birth certificate. That the claim was baseless, but was it really? Or was it just inconvenient for one of the most powerful couples in entertainment to have this skeleton ripped through the closet? Because if Jay-Z had nothing to hide, why has he refused a simple DNA test for nearly 2 decades? And if this was just a desperate kid chasing fame ... why would he endure years of legal rejection, ridicule, and slander without giving up?
So you're friends with Jay-Z, then at one point it turns romantic.
After a year.
After a year.
After about a year and some change, you know, as things change. Yeah.
And this was Jay-Z during which album? I mean, Reasonable Doubt was already out.
This was, okay, Reasonable, I met Jay-Z right after he dropped Reasonable Doubt.
Right.
Reasonable Doubt was out like a minute, because I remember like, oh, what's this? Who's this? Oh, I like this song. And then I met him through a friend at a party. And the next day, Nas and I got into like some big fight, and he pissed me off. And so I just thought, oh, let me call Jay-Z. Went on him.
Okay. Now, Jay-Z's first single sampled Nas on the hook, Dead Presidents.
Yes.
So there's already this interesting connection between Jay-Z and Nas from the jump.
Right. But you know how I looked at that? I looked at, oh, that's the producer who sampled it. I didn't look at it. I didn't honestly see the correlation in the very beginning. Like, I didn't even think twice, like, oh, well, these two might.
Okay. But Jay-Z knew that you had a daughter with Nas.
Yes, he did. He was aware of that.
He was aware of that. Okay. So you guys are messing around. You and Nas are getting into problems, are having problems with your relationship.
Yes.
At what point does Takeover come out?
Takeover came out, I had already left Nas.
Okay.
I had already broken up with him. I shipped all of my things to LA. I moved, I packed Essie and I up. We were already out. So when that came about, Nas and I were not together. We were not in a relationship. We were still going back and forth like couples do who immediately break up. We were still seeing each other. It wasn't like the relationship was, completely null and void. That's difficult. You know what I mean? It takes a little bit of time to get over someone you've been in a relationship with for a decade. So I'm not gonna say we weren't still intimate and seeing each other, but we weren't living together and we were not in a relationship. Takeover came when, Takeover actually is a product of Jay-Z just being emotional.
I really didn't know who that was because I was young and, had my little brother and I really wasn't worrying about it. She was saying it a lot, but this was going along with the person I was just seeing, like the person I looked at who was taking care of me at that time. I really wasn't really trying to understand what my mom was talking about, but she constantly put it in my head like, son, it's not your father, and I really want you to know it is. This person is your father, and I just want you to know. And she continued to tell me that over the years and over the years and over the years, even until I was grown. He never tried to contact me in any type of way.
For most people, a paternity claim means a simple test, a cheek swab, a few weeks, and the truth. But when the man you're accusing is one of the most powerful figures in music history, the process turns into a bureaucratic nightmare. And in Rymir Carter's case, that nightmare has lasted over a decade. Jay-Z hasn't just stayed silent. He's weaponized the system to keep it that way. According to legal filings, his team has fought tooth and nail to get every single one of Rymir's lawsuits thrown out. Not because of proven innocence, but on technicalities, procedural time limits, and what the court called frivolous filings. In 2022, a federal judge issued an injunction against Rymir, essentially barring him from filing any more lawsuits about his paternity in the state of New Jersey without the court's permission. Just like that, the legal door slammed shut, not on a result, but on even the pursuit of one. Jay-Z's lawyers claimed that the matter had already been decided back in 2010, when another man was ordered to pay child support. But what they don't like to mention is that Rymir's mother was a minor at the time she conceived, and the original paternity declaration may have been based on incomplete, or even coerced information. And while courts dismissed Rymir's efforts as old news, Jay-Z's camp continued to respond with aggressive filings, asking judges not just to toss the case, but to make Rymir pay their legal fees. That's not just rejection, it's punishment. But here's where the legal chess match turns darker. In his latest lawsuit, Rymir isn't just claiming Jay-Z is his father, he's alleging something far more explosive, that Jay-Z and his legal team have engaged in fraud to suppress the truth. He claims the entire legal saga was engineered to block him from accessing justice, that false court filings, shady tactics, and legal harassment have all been used to bury him and erase the paper trail. And maybe the most haunting part, Rymir says he's not fighting for himself anymore. He's doing it so that no other child is forced to fight this hard just to learn where they come from. But even as Jay-Z's lawyers scoff at the accusations and paint Rymir as a persistent nuisance, public curiosity is growing. Why hasn't Jay-Z taken the test? Why fight so hard if there's truly nothing to hide? Because if there's one thing more damaging than a rumor, it's the lengths someone will go to keep it buried. And buried is exactly where this story was headed. Until Beyoncé's name came up. When Jaguar Wright speaks, the industry flinches. She's not afraid of lawsuits, blacklists, or burning bridges. Her interviews feel less like rants and more like indictments. Naming names, revealing secrets, and drawing lines between the elite and the exposed. And now, Beyoncé is in her crosshairs. Jaguar isn't just accusing Beyoncé of turning a blind eye. She is claiming Beyoncé has been actively working behind the scenes to protect Jay-Z's secrets, eliminate threats to her throne, and ally herself with some of the industry's most controversial figures, including none other than Sean Diddy Combs. According to Jaguar, Beyoncé doesn't just ignore rumors, she buries them. With Diddy's help, Together, they allegedly created a system of silencing, intimidation, and manipulation designed to protect their empires at all costs. And if you believe what Jaguar's saying, some of those costs might have been fatal. One name keeps surfacing: Kathy White, a former Jay-Z associate who died under suspicious circumstances. Officially ruled an overdose, yet many believe she knew too much. Jaguar claims Kathy's death wasn't an accident, but a message. And the people who sent that message, she names them outright: Jay-Z, Diddy, and Beyoncé, but writes not done. She hints at the existence of tapes, recordings that could expose conversations and actions too dangerous to make public. She speaks of Beyoncé as someone not just complicit, but powerful enough to direct the cleanup. Someone who doesn't need to raise her voice because others do the dirty work for her. Jaguar's words are chilling. That woman died screaming. She says Kathy's resemblance to Beyoncé's daughter isn't a coincidence, that certain features, the cheekbones, the frame, the energy, are more than just echoes of genetics. She even implies the unthinkable, that something was taken from Kathy, and lives on in the Carter family legacy. It sounds like a conspiracy. It sounds insane. And yet, Jaguar isn't alone. Others are starting to echo these claims, connecting the dots between industry deaths, NDA-backed silence, and the unchecked power of a couple who seem immune to consequence. And the scariest part, Jaguar says she's just getting started. No more filter. No more allegedly. From here on out, I'm naming names. I'm ruining lives with the truth. Because if what she's saying is even remotely true, we're no longer talking about celebrity drama. We're talking about a system of control, so far-reaching, so impenetrable, that even justice has to ask permission before it knocks. And the next name on her list, is Aaliyah.
No, last question. I asked you to do this earlier, but I just want you to do it even more, go detailed. What do you predict will happen next in the future? You know, it's like you see it before it happens.
Kathy White's true killer is going to be unveiled. And it's not a man. And that woman died screaming.
Anything else?
Yeah. Show him the tape, Diddy. You got it.
Oh, man,
That might buy you a little time. You should probably stop looking for plastic surgeons.
man.
Looking for a new life, new face. We gonna hang you high. Jay-Z too. Beyoncé too. And we gonna round up all the Cause see, I love a good gay man. I just can't stand him. And that's what it is.
With that being
You
said,
wanna know what's gonna happen next?
yeah.
I'm about to fuck up America.
Oh,
That's what's about to happen next.
here we go.
No more filter. From this point forward, any word that I say, I ain't holding back. And I ain't saying alleged either. Y'all said I was lying the first time. Now it turns out I'm telling the truth. You still don't want to admit that I was right, but you don't want to admit that you was wrong. So really, then diplomacy doesn't matter. Fuck you. I'ma just keep ruining your lives with the truth.
And here we go.
There are celebrity tragedies, and then there's Aaliyah. Her death didn't just shake the music world, it shattered it. Young, gifted, and radiant, she was more than an R&B icon. She was a rising queen. But just as quickly as her star ascended, it vanished in the wreckage of a plane crash that never made sense to those closest to her. And now, years later, whispers are growing louder. What really happened to Aaliyah? Jaguar Wright and other insiders claim Aaliyah's death wasn't just a tragic accident. It was the final move in a silent power struggle, a struggle between love, betrayal, and ego. At the center of it all, J-Z.C. Jay-Z wasn't just a distant admirer. He and Dame Dash, co-founders of Rockefeller Records, were both romantically pursuing Aaliyah around the same time. Publicly, it was Dame who won her heart. But privately, According to multiple sources, Jay-Z was far from letting her go. And that loss. It burned. Dame Dash himself has alluded to the tension, the rivalry. One moment, he and Jay were business partners. The next, Jay was sending flowers, showing up uninvited, pushing harder than ever to get Alia's attention, even after she had clearly chosen someone else. Then came the crash. Alia boarded a small, overloaded plane, leaving the Bahamas, a decision friends say she didn't want to make. She was tired, uneasy. She even took a sedative before the flight, allegedly given to her by someone on her team. But when push came to shove, she was placed on that aircraft unconscious, and never woke up. Industry insiders have pointed fingers at Hype Williams, the famed music video director who was overseeing the shoot that brought Aaliyah to the island. They question why she wasn't placed on the private jet offered by Lenny Kravitz, why she had to fly on a rickety, overcrowded plane with no backup plan, and why she was drugged before boarding. Jaguar Wright doesn't mince words. She claims the entire situation was orchestrated, and Jay-Z wasn't just a bystander. In her eyes, he was the architect. A man scorned, a brand to protect, and a relationship he couldn't control. She even says the motive was heartbreak and humiliation. Aaliyah didn't just reject Jay-Z, she made her choice publicly. She chose Dame. And if you believe what Jaguar's implying, that rejection may have cost Alia her life. Is it far-fetched? Maybe, but even Dame Dash has admitted that death broke him, and that Jay-Z acted cold in the aftermath. Cold or calculated? Because here's what sticks with people: the silence, the eerie way Jay-Z never publicly mourned her, never paid tribute, never even acknowledged the love triangle that could have unraveled everything to some. That silence is grief. To others, it's guilt. And in the web of secrets surrounding Alia's final days, Jay-Z's name keeps coming up, always just out of reach, always protected. But what happens when protection becomes complicity? And what happens when Rihanna's story starts to sound hauntingly familiar?
You would be the firstborn son. You and Sir have the same ears, same nose, but we don't see Sir.
Yeah, I know that's crazy. That's what.
I was just trying to figure out how he got 2 daughters at a football game. Where's your son? You gotta understand that pisses people off. Like you have rights. Like
I don't understand. Like most people want to know, but I guess just like you say, he's so big and into their brand, and I'm not putting nothing on nobody. But I wouldn't know what he thinking. But I would know if this would be something I want to get out the way. You know, I wouldn't want this to go on for no years.
If the tragedy surrounding Aaliyah left behind questions, Rihanna's rise left behind chills. In 2005, a teenage Rihanna was flown from Barbados to New York for what seemed like the opportunity of a lifetime, an audition with Jay-Z, who had just become president of Def Jam Records. At just 17 years old, with no legal guardian in sight, she found herself alone in a corporate skyscraper, sitting across from one of the most powerful men in music. The moment would define her career. But what really happened behind those closed doors? On the Tyra Banks Show, Rihanna retells the moment like a starstruck girl living her dream. But pay attention to the words, the tone, the discomfort hiding behind the smile. She recounts how Jay-Z told her, "There are 2 ways to leave this office, through the door with a signed deal, or through the window, and we're on the 29th floor." The audience laughed. Rihanna smiled awkwardly, but the deeper meaning didn't go unnoticed. Was it a joke? A power play? Or something more insidious? Jaguar Wright doesn't believe it was innocent. She calls it out as veiled intimidation. A classic example of how young, vulnerable girls are groomed into silence, made to feel as if the only way forward is total submission. Sign the deal, obey the rules, stay quiet, or disappear. And according to Jaguar, Rihanna's story follows the same blueprint as many others: sudden fame, rapid branding, and total control by the machine behind Jay-Z. What started as a golden ticket became a gilded cage. Behind the scenes, things were even murkier. Rumors swirled that Jay-Z and Rihanna had a romantic entanglement early in her career. Beyoncé reportedly caught wind of it, and was furious. According to multiple insiders, this sparked years of silent tension between Beyoncé and Rihanna, with Queen Bey allegedly blocking collaborations, avoiding events, and keeping Rihanna at arm's length. Publicists scrambled to do damage control. One even leaked a statement confirming the affair, only to retract it days later and apologize. But by then, the damage was done. The whispers had already turned into screams. Even Rihanna's management strategy shifted. Sources claim she was deliberately shaped into a product, with her personal life hidden behind layers of branding. New controversy. New mess. Just a carefully packaged superstar, designed to generate billions while staying just out of reach. But here's what makes it even more disturbing. Rihanna was a teenager, she was alone, she was vulnerable, and she was signed, under intense pressure, by a man nearly twice her age, in an industry known for devouring girls just like her. The question is no longer, did Jay-Z help launch her career? That's obvious. The question is, what did she have to give up in return? And if Beyoncé knew what was happening behind the scenes, what does her silence really say? Because if Jay-Z's pattern is real, Rihanna wasn't the first, and she certainly wasn't the last. And when women began to fight back, the machine fought even harder to silence them.
Blue don't have Beyoncé nothing. She's just light-skinned. I always thought it was kind of weird how she did resemble Jay-Z to a certain extent. But no, that girl is starting to look like Kathy to me. The eyes, the cheekbones, the jawline, the speltness of her thin figure, her shoulders. Like when she wore that dress with the Grammys, when he set Killer Mike up to be inconvenienced for winning. That white thing that she wore with those boots. The way she walked up. The way she sashayed, and it was off the shoulder, like Kathy used to wear off. May God have mercy on their souls if they took that woman's to a child. May God have mercy on their souls if they done that. And for her, and it's my bloodline. Oh, it's that bloodline. On the front line.
Was I shocked when Jay said the line in Picasso Baby? Yes, because we've talked about that. We have a history that supersedes music, and we know how this business works. We sit back and we laugh at those rumors. We laugh at that. I think he began to feel the pressure because people were saying my age, the age thing. She was 15, 14. She was 15, 14. And after a while, that gets to a person. The Jay I know, the Sean I know, never comes out of character.
It is time for Aaliyah Dana Houghton's death to be properly investigated. It's time for Fatima Robinson to speak up about what she heard on that phone. It's time for somebody to be honest about who gave Aaliyah the pills that knocked her out before she was carried onto a plane she didn't want to be on. It's time for the other dancers who knew she was terrified to get on that plane to speak up. And it's time for Hype Williams to be officially questioned about why he made her get on that plane and why they forced her to do it unconscious. It's time to talk Hype. It's time for the public to ask you why Aaliyah couldn't get on Lenny Kravitz's plane and you had to put her on that clown car plane. And do yourself a favor before you make any statements. Please remember, I was fucking the dog shit out of little X. You're apprenticed. I know a lot more about you than you think I do.
It's emboldening me. I spoke on Piers Morgan. I said that I had 3 victims that I've been working with, victims of the Carters, that were ready to come forward. This might help them feel a little more confident now. So this is great because he's been evading. But the thing is, everyone in the backdrop knew that he was the celebrity John Doe. Everybody knew that. They knew it when I did Piers Morgan.
Is Beyoncé celebrity B?
I hope to God not. But she was around. And she's She's got enough on her plate. After everything that happened with the election and everything that's happening right now, I'm not going to dump on that woman. She got better fish to fry.
Well,
what I
look,
will say is that her husband, she knows exactly who he is.
Yeah.
He
Like pushing to get this out of Rihanna, and when it does, man, it made me feel very, very uncomfortable.
Audition. Yes. But before I met him, I was so nervous. I was shaking literally. But the moment I walked into the office, the atmosphere was so warm and welcoming.
And you had to sing a cappella for him?
Yes, I had to sing. I sang Fun to Replay. I sang another ballad from the album last time.
Yeah. So then what did he say to you? He said something to you.
Oh yes, he said, we don't sing songs here, we sing artists. And there was this little pause, and I was nervous. But then he said, and we're interested. And there was this sudden feel of relief.
But then he said something about a window and a door or something.
Oh, then he said, he did it one more.
I did a lot of homework on you, this lady.
He said, there are two ways to leave here, either through the door with the deal sign or through this window, and we're on the 29th floor.
So you was like, where's the pen? Where's the paper? I'm signing.
Yeah.
The audience is so uncomfortable. Like, I don't know if Tyra was trying to get that on the record, but my God, what Jaguar? He threatened her. This is her own words coming out of her mouth. And she was a kid at that time, correct?
A 15-year-old girl who had been flown to the United States without parental supervision or a chaperone, brought to a grown man's office in a large corporate Manhattan building. Everybody knew when she flew in. I was there the day she got signed. Everyone was talking about it. And the 6 hours that she spent with him, and the 4 hours that she spent alone with him with no parental supervision. Her father didn't show up to the next day to come and collect the check.
Well, and there's
this isn't her life.
The rumors were even beyond that, right? That Jay-Z was cheating on Beyonce with her when she was
Very
17
so.
Is what a lot of this came out through a publicist who later then
Have
had
you
to
spoken
apologize.
to my friend Jonathan Hay? You should talk to Jonathan.
Please.
Because Jonathan was there. He was right there working with Rihanna. And it was right when they started crafting her to be seen as a brand and commodity only and not a person.
Rymir Carter's journey isn't about fame. It isn't about revenge. And if you believe him, it's never even been about money. It's about legacy, identity, the human need to know who you are and where you come from. Something most of us take for granted, but for Rymir, the path to that truth has been anything but ordinary. He stood in courtrooms alone, faced rejection from judges who never even heard the evidence, endured a media narrative that painted him as delusional, as greedy, as irrelevant. And still, he fights. He fights not because he wants headlines, but because he knows that silence is the weapon of the powerful, and he refuses to be erased. He fights for his own children, so they never grow up questioning their worth. And he fights for every kid out there who's been told to sit down, shut up, and accept lies as truth. But what happens when the truth threatens billion-dollar brands? What happens when that truth involves names like Jay-Z and Beyoncé, names that sit atop the music industry like untouchable gods? From secret children and shady court filings, to accusations of manipulation, coercion, even death, to a chilling pattern of young women who enter quietly and vanish, even quieter. This isn't just gossip. It's a legacy built on control, and a long trail of unanswered questions. Did Jay-Z bury the truth about Rymir? Was Alia's death more than an accident? Did Rihanna pay a price for her rise? And what does Beyoncé know? What has she known? Some say it's all smoke and mirrors. Others believe we're watching the unraveling of one of the biggest illusions in pop culture history. But here's what we know for sure. Every time someone has tried to speak, every time someone has pulled back the curtain, there's been a price: legal threats, intimidation, silence. And yet, against all odds, the stories keep leaking, the cracks keep spreading, and people are finally starting to ask, what if it's all true? Because maybe Rymir's not just one man seeking justice. Maybe he's the first domino, the first voice in a choir of silence that's finally finding the courage to scream. And when that scream gets loud enough, even the Carters might not be able to drown it out.